I would now like to introduce Mr. Manish Dhawan. He is the founder partner of Mystic Wealth. He has an industry experience of 10 years and currently heads the Momentum and Options desk. Manish is very well known in India as the co-host of popular podcast series Stoic Podcast, one of the very first investing and trading podcasts from India, profiling both national and international trading and investing personalities. He is managing an 8 digit options book and is known for his sharp command on options, and his blogs contain a wealth of wisdom covering these topics.
Hello, so next session is from Mr. Manish Dhawan. How are you, Manish?
I'm good. Good, Prashant. How are you?
Good, good. So glad to have you on eDecma, and we are very excited about your presentation. So Manish, can you brief us about your overall experience in the market and the strategies that you follow and all that?
Sure, Prashant. First of all, it's a pleasure to give a presentation at your platform. In fact, I remember I was a participant not that long ago, and back then I told my friend it would be a dream if I probably gave a presentation here someday, and call it Power of Imagination or Neville Goddard, and here I am. Uh, so. Uh, Brief about myself. So I've been in this industry since 2011, and my basically introduction was totally by chance. See, my dad passed away in the year 2007, and he had
Okay.
left us with a small corpus of around a million rupees. So my mom told me to square that off. Uh, and so when I was given this job to square this off, I asked myself this question: on what premise am I selling it? What was the basis on which my dad bought it? So I thought, बेचने से पहले एक बार देख तो लूं कर क्या रहा हूं. And surprising as this sound, I basically opened a Pandora box and I got basically hooked onto it. मुझे पता नहीं था कहाँ से start करना है, so I started from the catching the problem from the bull's horn, so to speak. Uh, I started reading the daddy himself, Warren Buffett's annual letters. And one thing led to another. Warren Buffett say I got introduced to Charlie Munger. From Charlie Munger, I got introduced to Joel Greenblatt, and this fascinating journey continued. Uh, so, so while this journey was on, of course, I was in my corporate job, and I had still no intention of getting into finance or stock market. That was the last thing on my mind. But once I was reading Greenblatt, I started realizing that I am not more of a qualitative guy, and I was more interested in the quantitative side of it. And Joel Greenblatt is like a person who's like right in between, not Warren Buffett kind who's just totally qualitative, and not your technical analysis, which are only doing quants. So through Joel Greenblatt, I started implementing the same thing in the Indian market. So he wrote a wonderful book, Stock Market Genius. It's a cheesy heading, but the book's pretty deep. It talks about inefficiencies and demergers and spin-offs. So we started backtesting the whole thing in the Indian stock market, and I got introduced to this friend of mine, Dayanand Deshpande, who's now become my partner. And once we were doing these experiments, we realized that the edge is huge. It's not just in US, even in India, the spin-off and demerger, if taken as an index, generates unbelievable alpha over and above. So slowly and steadily, we started deploying money, and by the year 2011, we had deployed money in demergers. Then we went more into quantitatives and got into momentum as well. uh, 2011 we decided that it's time to do it full time because there is definite uh, alpha in it, and we are earning pretty much more or less what the salary was giving. So 2011 is when we launched, and since then, while my partner Dayanand Deshpande has stuck to his value investing bit, I have moved on and got into options and momentum. And that's where my forte lies. I think my personality is suited to that. And because everything is quantified and back tested, I feel comfortable putting a lot of money.
Super great. I mean, great to know about your journey and have some interesting points and a couple of queries also on momentum strategies and value investment. But I think we'll discuss it after your presentation. So over to you, Manish.
Right. The topic of my presentation today is trend following, a way of life. Now, uh, when I say a way of life, I am essentially saying that I'm not really talking about trading and investing only. Surely that's the main topic where we will revolve around. But right now, trend following is basically a way how you think, and that will affect every part of your life. Be it's applicable in the field of trading, your marriage, your business relationships, uh, and even your personal relationships. So, none other than Warren Buffett gave the example, which probably holds in good stead for marketing of trend following. He gave an example of a boat. He says, let's just say that you own a boat and the boat has a hole in it. You've got two options. One option is to mend that hole, probably use nail and hammer and maybe some wood chips and mend that hole, and that boat is again good to go. And the second option is to go for a brand new boat. Warren Buffett concluded that it is always better to go for a brand new boat rather than mend the broken boat. And there are two reasons to it. One reason is the opportunity cost. The time you would spend in mending a broken boat is not worth it compared to buying a new one. And second, which is more critical, is the fact that no matter how much you mend it, the crack would remain and it will ditch you at the worst possible time and probably would drown you. And this is the entire concept of trend following. If something's not working, you got to get rid of it. And when something's working, you got to stick to it. Holds true in marriage as well. Now, people basically usually give examples or advice or counseling that if the relationship's not working, to mend ways, go to a counselor, go to a psychologist, try and find the middle ground, blah blah blah. While all that is good for average fights, but if your marriage is not working, the most sane advice is to have a divorce. Nobody talks about that. And that in essence is trend following. If something's not working, you are much, much better off cutting your losses rather than going through the pain for the rest of your life. This holds true in your business as well. If you're running a business and people around you tell you you should diversify, you are too concentrated on just one business. But if that business is earning money for you and it's doing wonders for you, you will be a fool to follow that advice and go for diversification. Many businesses have gone bust because of this diversification bullshit. Trend follower would never do that. He would stick to his guns, stick to what's working, and that's how compounding would take care of itself. And now, of course, the trend following is applicable in the stocks and investing as well, something that we're going to talk about in this presentation. If we have an India Mart in our account, if we have a Dixon in our account, it's going vertical. There can be 1,001 narrative reasons why we should not be holding them or should be squaring them off. But the point is, if you're a trend follower, you don't look at the narrative, you follow the price and stick to what's working. Let's get some disclaimers out of the way. Nothing presented here today should be construed as financial advice. We may or may not have positions in the stocks discussed. Please consult your financial advisor before embarking on any investing journey. Although this presentation would not talk about derivatives, but we have an options book. So if, in case I'm talking about derivatives, remember that it's a two-edged sword. Without risk management, and sometimes even with risk management, it can lead to total loss of capital. So I'm copy pasting this particular slide from a presentation that I went through online. There's this trader called Mark Cook. He's been profiled by Jack Schwager in his Market Wizards book. An amazing trader. He trades S&P, a very successful one. Read Jack Schwager's book to know more about it if you want. But anyways, in this presentation, there's a slide where he says you can actually divide all the traders into two types. There are only two types of traders. One are idiots, and other are morons. Now this may sound funny and very cheesy, but the underlying message was very deep, and it just hit me, and I realized that the guy's talking sense. The difference between the two is that morons are perpetual idiots. So what essentially Mark Cook was saying was that it's okay to make 1,000 mistakes, for God's sake, but just make sure that those mistakes are new. You're not repeating the same mistake. Because if you're repeating the same mistake, then you're stuck. And then you're basically a moron. You're a perpetual idiot. You will go nowhere. You'll not learn anything. Anybody who learns from his mistakes and somehow is not repeating that mistake again, sky's the limit, because then the compounding will kick in and you'll become a different person altogether. So there's a simple heuristic to know whether there is a chance for you to grow, or are you a gambler. Okay. I like simple heuristics in life. The reason why I like simple heuristics is that आसान रहता है, ज़्यादा complexity नहीं. You in one sentence you can figure out whether ये धंधा करना है या नहीं करना, इस बंदे पे trust करना है या नहीं करना. So one of the simple heuristic I also follow is that if I come across a complex person जो बहुत twisted बातें कर रहा है, I hold my purse and run away. I like simple people. उसी तरह एक simple heuristic है to figure out whether you're a gambler or not is this: are you keeping a trading journal? Do you document your trades or not? Simple अपने गिरेबान में झाँक के देखो, दिन में if you're not an intraday trader, let's say महीने में आपने कितने trades लिए हैं, take the ledger out and compare it with your trading journal ledger, if at all you're maintaining one, and see यहाँ पर अगर 100 ट्रेड हैं तो यहाँ पर 100 हैं कि नहीं है. Is there a complete match? Are you trading outside your system, or are you documenting what you're doing? I'll give you an example. I went to this place, Delton Royale, जो Delta Corp का casino है, and I was not surprised to see that there was not even a single person there who had a pen or a diary in his hand knowing what he's doing. Of course, nobody would do that because they are there to have fun. And having fun entails spending money, losing money. And it was no surprise that 99.9% of the people at Delton Royale were losing money. I'm saying 0.1 because 0.1 poker table पे एक दो चीते थे who were making money, but otherwise all of the games, all of the players were losing money. And the reason why they're doing it is because they're not really keeping a tab of what's happening. There is no data which is telling them that they are playing a game without any edge. And so I cannot emphasize enough, you need to have a trading journal. And a simple heuristic: if you don't have a trading journal, you're basically a gambler. See, the reason is that you cannot control what you don't measure. Gamblers don't measure performance, right? And this is actually true in other aspects of life as well. I will keep going outside the trading and investing world to bring home the point. The example is the disease of diabetes, right? Now I look around people, and uh, they're not really measuring their sugar levels. And when you're not measuring, आंखें बंद करने से अगर कबूतर आंखें बंद कर लेगा तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि बिल्ली चली जाएगी. The cat's still there, the disease still there. The only people who are able to reverse their diabetes or keep them in control are the ones who are measuring that data. They know what they eat, how it is affecting them. And so keeping a trading journal or keeping a journal, putting data entries is of paramount importance. You can only control things that you can measure. Now, this is actually a special sentence, guys. And this is pretty deep. Probably I will not be able to do justice to this statement because this probably needs an essay in itself. Majority of people in the stock market are not there to make money. Let this sink in. They're just here to play out their pending dramas. You know, our mind is basically divided into conscious mind and the subconscious mind, right? Conscious mind probably constitutes less than 10%. The remaining 90% is below the surface subconscious mind. Almost all our decisions are taken by that subconscious mind. Conscious mind simply comes and takes ownership of the decision. हमें लगता है हमने डिसीजन सोच समझ के अपने दिमाग से लिया है, कॉन्शियस माइंड से लिया है, बट वो डिसीजन हमारे लिए सबकॉन्शियस ले चुका है. Conscious mind is just living in the illusion of control and claiming doership for random event that our body mind is doing. It's a pretty deep concept, guys. Subconsciously, bachpan mein, in your childhood, maybe you had a bad schooling. Maybe the school you were in, there were a lot of bullies and you were picked on and you were bullied. You think that you moved on, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, अब तो बहुत पुरानी बात है, निकल गई. But guess what? That knot is still there. And every time you will be taking an important decision in your life, that knot will play out. And you would not even know that it has played out and you've already reacted in a stupid way. This is precisely the reason why loss-making traders keep on making losses, despite knowing that they're doing something stupid. It's a bad vicious cycle. So coming back to the main topic, you need to document everything. If you want to change it, start measuring it at least. Trade date, time, risk allotted, actual exit, entry, mood at the time of your trade, duration of trade. All these data points are very, very critical. Now, the reason why they're critical is that these data points will give you things that you need to check the efficacy of your system. Once you have data, you'll be able to tell about the probability of your system, average profit, average loss, hold duration, maximum profit, maximum drawdowns, the standard deviation of that maximum drawdown, expected value. Can you take leverage in your system? If you can, what is the sensitivity of the system? How much leverage can it take? And then finally, you can also calculate the SQN number of your system, which is the system quality number. Now, for those of you who are interested in knowing more, I would recommend you to Google Mystic Wealth Position Sizing. I've done a very detailed, extensive webinar on that, which is a 2-hour long webinar. It's outside the scope of this presentation to cover that, but everything that you need to know, what you will do with that data. Now comes the main question: what strategy should we choose? Right? Everybody knows this guy. He came up with a very famous statement: ideas are overrated, execution is underrated. It's such a deep statement, and it holds true in trading and investing. I twist the statement and say it for trading: strategy is overrated, discipline is underrated. Strategy होने से कोई फायदा नहीं है if you don't have the discipline to follow it. And strategy के बारे में मैं आपको एक और बात बताता हूँ. Let me tell you something. Strategy is like a dog. और हर कुत्ते का दिन आता है. Right? Let's just say you see an Alsatian and let's call it this is value investing. And let's say this golden retriever, this is momentum investing, right? Now, right now, if you look at the market, you know that आजकल, see, I am this momentum guy, right? So I am this dog. आजकल मैं बहुत भौंक रहा हूँ. I'm the one who's barking, right? And my partner then, Andesh Pandey, who's into value investing, he has nothing to bark, right? उसकी भी अपनी tail छुपा के बैठा हुआ है वो. Why? Because he's what averaged 12-13% CAGR from the last 3 years, whereas we are sitting at 30%. But the point is, don't get excited by looking at that. हर कुत्ते का दिन आता है. Just in case you think that value is dead, let me remind you, momentum investing was dead just a few years ago. 2018 और 19 के drawdown में, I had nothing to talk about, right? There were drawdowns. And similarly, 2011 to 2014, I still remember, I was looking at Dayanand Deshpande's ledger. He was hitting it out of the park, 40% CAGRs, everything he was touching was turning to gold, right? There were demergers in Orient Paper, Orient Cement, Kaya, Majesco, Intellect. ये सब 3-5 बैगर हैं. And now he's got nothing to talk about. हर कुत्ते का दिन आता है. So strategy is not important. Sticking to it is. अभी आजकल हम भौंक रहे हैं. We have Dixon, India Mart, and whatnot. Vertical climbs happening. You've got to know who you are, and this is the most important point, guys. A value investor trying to do momentum investing, or the other way around, a momentum investor at heart trying to do value investing will make a mockery of it. Why? Because you're not in sync with the strategy. You will leave it at the worst possible time. Let this sink in. You will basically be hopping a strategy right at that time जब उसके अच्छे दिन आने वाले थे. And so it's very important. So like for example, I appreciate my partner Daya for this. Why? Because right now value is going through hell. But does that change anything? No. 80 to 90% of his net worth is still invested in his value fund. And that's the game. Uska din phir aayega. The idea is to stick to your strategy, not what strategy you have. And the strategy that you choose has to match your personality. So why I am particularly interested in the momentum side of it and not so much value, why my personality is more suited for momentum, is because of this slide. And when I went to this slide, this is basically taken out of William O'Neill's book. When stated in terms of lifetime dollar wealth creation, the entire net gain in the US stock market since 1926 is attributable to the best performing 4% of listed stocks, as the other 96% collectively matched 1 month treasury bills. ये basically Pareto on steroids है. मतलब 4% of stocks attribute almost all the alpha that US market has generated since 1926. अगर आप उन 4% में नहीं हो, तो आपने treasury bills का income kamaya, and treasury bills in US is like even more pathetic than India. Just let this sink in. This is basically where the fat tails live. Winner takes everything. And so the conclusion that I drew out of this particular slide was that something that has gone up 3x in a year is where I want to be, because uska 10x hone ka chance hai, not the one which is stuck in the range. Once the stock has gone 3x in a year, it has proved itself that it is not one of those 96% idiots. It is maybe not necessarily, but maybe it is in the top 4% bracket जिसमें alpha है. So momentum can actually be can be done on two things, on stocks and on indices. Let's talk about indices first, right? So this guy, this old man, his name is Gary Antonacci, very interesting fellow. I actually interviewed him for our podcast as well at stoicinvesting.com. He comes to India quite often, goes to Rishikesh, does Hatha yoga. Anyways, he came up with a pretty interesting concept of dual momentum. Right? He wrote a book by the same name. 3 simple steps is all you have to follow, and you can beat, buy, and hold hollow. Oh wow, that was rhyming. I became a poet or something. 3 simple steps is all you have to follow, and you can beat, buy, and hold hollow. 3 steps are: number 1, check the preceding 12-month ROC of all your selected indices. Gary chose three: US equities ETF, bonds, and emerging market ETF. Let me ease it out for people who are not able to follow this. Basically, 3 घोड़ों को लाइन में लगाना है. पहला घोड़ा US equities ETF, दूसरा bonds, तीसरा emerging market ETF. एंड पहला क्वेश्चन पूछना है इन तीनों में से सबसे तेज पिछले 12 महीने में कौन भागा? Who was the fastest amongst them in last 12 months? Step 2, simply check if the preceding 12 months return of the top performer beats your benchmark, let's say 8% per year. Right? This is the second question you'll ask. Then the third question you'll ask, if the answer is yes to both the above condition, park your funds in that index, else move to cash. Simple. सबसे पहले तीनों में से सबसे तेज कौन भागा? Let's say US equities ETF सबसे तेज भागा. Second question, क्या वो 8% से ज्यादा रिटर्न दिया? Yes. If answer is yes, we move to that US equities ETF fund. Otherwise, we move to cash. You'll be surprised. ये 3 चीजें करने से a buy and hold investor के over and above आप कितना अल्फा जनरेट कर सकते? So I did that back test in India. सबसे पहले from 2005 to 2016 बेसिकली इसके लिए तो क्या बैक टेस्ट करना है. बेसिकली बाय किया 2005 में, 2016 में बेच दिया, आपका 1 लाख बन गया 3.63 lakhs, giving you a return of 12.65% CAGR. बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि इस रिस्पेक्टेबल CAGR को लेने के लिए you have to go through a 2008 का सब प्राइम lending crisis जहां आपका 60% ड्रॉडाउन आया. And we almost 60% drawdown अच्छे से नहीं झेला जा सकता, and you will throw in the towel and never come in the market again. Now I applied Gary Antonacci's formula here. मैंने basically debt और Nifty और gold के ऊपर ये रन किया, and this is what I got. A respectable return of 18% CAGR with a maximum drawdown of 30% during the same time period. And look at the difference between the equity curve. Maybe it's not that visible through a naked eye, but this is the kind of drawdown you can still sustain and hold on. Whereas if this khadda that you see, these are the places where uncle points are hit and people leave the industry forever. Now I received the feedback that nobody in India actually invests in indices. So we actually took the data from DSP guys and ran this data on DSP BlackRock Microcap Fund. Same philosophy. 10-year period ended with funds current NAV. ये buy and hold की returns है. 19.29% का CAGR mark. If you want to know more about this backtest, you can also again Google Mystic Wealth Medium blog riding a mutual fund, and you will see all the details there. But the problem again was to achieve this respectable figure, buy and hold client had to go through a drawdown of 70%. You need balls of steel to go through that kind of drawdown. Nobody I know in my vicinity at least, and I've met who's who, nobody I know can actually come back in the market after losing 70% of his capital. So I applied a simple absolute momentum rule. इस केस में dual momentum नहीं है क्योंकि इसमें 3 products नहीं है, इसमें just इसी के ऊपर absolute momentum लगा रहे हैं. The simple momentum I applied was, we will only buy DSP BlackRock Microcap Fund if its last quarter return was more than our benchmark of 8% per annum. अगर है तो we are in DSP BlackRock Microcap, अगर नहीं है we are moving into debt fund. The difference, ladies and gentlemen, is CAGR of 30% with a drawdown of 25%. The difference of 19%, 30% tantamount to a fortune in a long run. You all know how compounding works. Now let's talk about MOMO on stocks, momentum on stocks. Essentially, momentum on stocks can be divided into two segments. या तो आप discretionary trader हो और या आप systematic trader हो. Now these are the resources that I want you to keep a tab on, depending on who you are. If you're a discretionary trader, then these are the four names that you need to basically read all their books: William O'Neill, Mark Minervini, Jesse Stein, Dan Zanger. These guys basically are nailing it out of the park. The return figures you cannot even imagine. Now, I would like to add a disclaimer here. Remember, there are not many successful discretionary traders out there. So the percentage of success is pretty low in the discretionary momentum side. So for every 100 people who try this, probably 5 will be successful. And the reason are again subconscious in nature. If they're not in sync with their subconscious will take the trades for them. And if you are in one of those 5% brackets, sure, read these 4 guys, implement what they're saying, and you can hit it out of the park. Your returns will be in triple digits every year. But if you're not in that bracket and not that disciplined, then on the right hand side, these are the places where we do the same momentum, but it's mechanical in nature. And sure, the returns are a lot lesser than the discretionary successful momentum guys, but at least they're more sure. So this is the place. If you're a do-it-yourself investor, these are the places you need to go: AQR, Alpha Architect, and Mebane Faber. Alpha Architect is run by Wesley Gray. By the way, we did a podcast with both Mebane Faber and Wesley Gray. Fascinating conversation that you should listen to that as well. Nick Raj, he's also in his book systematically mentioned how to capture the alpha through momentum. Clean Now, this guy has also shared his strategies how you should implement momentum on stocks in a documented way. You can also go through our blog where we keep on sharing our various back tests and things around momentum. This is another very wonderful resource. Prashant Krish, search him on Twitter, is a pretty famous handle. He runs a Slack channel free of cost, and I'm also a member of that channel. It's a beautiful resource. If you are a do-it-yourself momentum guy, you should go there. Abhinav Mehrotra, he's also a Slack member of Prashant Krish channel, where he maintains an amazing repository of everything you need to know about momentum investing. And this is for people who are do-it-yourself, right? Now, discretionary momentum. These 4 guys that I was talking about, the left side, the William O'Neill, Mark Minervini, Dan Zanger, Jesse Stein. If you are in that bracket and if you want to try discretionary momentum, remember one golden rule. High PE is a good thing. Don't run away from that. In fact, it is a qualifying criteria, right? If a growth stock is not having a high PE, something ain't right, something is wrong. And I have a very famous joke on this, and here it goes. Sorry for sounding sexist or whatever, but the joke's a joke. See, India, Mart and Dixon अगर single digit PE पे मिल रहे हैं, you're not supposed to touch them. They're going to zero. Good, great growth stocks, these are called super stocks, are supposed to be costly. And so don't be scared of high PE. In fact, that should be a qualifying filter for you. They should be costly. So if you are doing it and if you want to ease yourself into it, how to make sure that your list where you're looking is filtered and channelized. This is the Mark Minervini's trend template. He mentioned in his book, and we've basically done this on ChartLink. There's a website called chartlink.com, and this is the screener. Once you run the scan, all the stocks that show up are the ones that Mark Minervini would probably look for, where Of course, he will not buy all the stocks, but at least this becomes a filter on which he will basically be looking to buy the breakouts or his VCP pattern as he calls it. This is for you. And if you are from a fundamental bent of mind, and if you want to do what is called as funda come technical investing, then you can add another filter, which is the earning filter, which is the CAMSLIM model. This is a screener.in website where I've created this screener, a very basic screener, but it will shortlist only those candidates which are showing stellar earnings growth quarter on quarter. And when you combine these both two, they become very potent, and from there on you can devise a strategy how to go long in each one of them. Here's another example. This guy, Julian Kumar, he came up with this idea, and just one disclaimer, this is such a rare setup that it will not show up 99% of the time, so you'll be bored to death. But once it shows, it goes crazy. As we speak, I think Adani Total Gas showed this particular pattern, and it just goes berserk from there on. So you should probably keep an eye on this as well. Let's come to systematic investment. So I read this book. I shared that in the previous slide as well. This guy named Andreas Klenau, Stocks on the Move. Pretty interesting book. इस बुक में इसने स्ट्रैटेजी शेयर कर दी. जाओ देखो, अपने आप ट्राई करके आओ. So the strategy was written in the book, and I simply coded it to run on Indian stocks. I thought कि इसको AIM broker पे कोड करो. बहुत आसान सी स्ट्रैटेजी थी, तो कोड करना भी आसान था. स्ट्रैटेजी क्या थी? What he said was that we ranked the entire universe of stocks on its last 90 days momentum. पिछले 90 दिन में कौन सबसे तेज भागा है, सबको लाइन में खड़ा कर दिया. We buy the top 10 amongst them. उनमें से जो top 10 घोड़े थे, उन्हें खरीद लिया. We sell the stocks if they're no longer in the top 50 most moving stocks. Let's say जब हमारा दोबारा रीबैलेंस का टाइम आया, हफ्ते का है या मंथली का, we can back test both. जब दोबारा रीबैलेंस का टाइम आया, we are checking कि ये घोड़ा कहीं टॉप 50 से पीछे तो नहीं चला गया. अगर टॉप 50 से भी पीछे चला गया, we're out. We're not keeping it. अगर वो टॉप 50 में ही है, तो हम उसे रखेंगे. We sell the stock if they fall more than 20% from their peak. So this basically becomes your trailing stop. अगर वो ऊपर से 20% से ज्यादा टूटा है, हम तब भी निकल गए. Now, two assumptions in this backtest. We are buying and selling on the closing price of the day signal was generated, and we have not included any brokerage and slippage, etc. And you will be shocked, guys. This basic six-line code, what does it do? 2006 to 2017, it generates 33% CAGR just by following these set of 5-6 rules. That's just unbelievable. And this is just a way to showcase to you and tell you that momentum investing has a definite alpha in it. Now, of course, this particular strategy is not implementable right now in its current avatar because of the crazy deep drawdown that it suffered, around 55%. But that doesn't change from the fact that the power of momentum and the fact that the anomaly exists. So this clearly shows that momentum investing definitely works. This particular strategy is not implementable because of the drawdown, but the anomaly is there, and that's what I wanted to show through this back test. Now, systematic investment, why it works? You know, stocks can broadly be divided into 4 phases just by looking at the price. Of course, you can code it by putting in Mark Minervini template as well. But broadly, stock या तो phase 1 में होगा, which is like a consolidation phase. It's not going anywhere. Resistance से नीचे आता है, support से ऊपर जाता है, वो अपनी range में बस घूमता रहता है. And this can last for years and years altogether. Then there is phase 2, which is the growth phase of the stock, where all the momentum guys are interested. That's where it breaks out from that base, long yearly base, and now there's a 45-degree or a 60-degree curve to it, and it's on the direction up. Phase 3 usually happens where there are long wicks and long candles. Now distribution is happening, and smart guys are leaving the show. And the fourth phase is the downward trajectory, जहाँ वो वापस जहाँ से start हुआ था वहाँ जाना शुरू हो जाता है. So ideally speaking, just by looking at the chart, you should be able to figure out कि ये phase 1 है, phase 2 है, phase 3 है, phase 4 है. Of course, you'll be better at it through practice, or better is if you simply code it. Let the system code tell you कि phase 2 में ही रहना है. We will just select stocks in phase 2 only. Here's an example. Once that base phase 1 is broken and stock goes to phase 2, game changes on its head. See, for 20-year consolidation, BBTC didn't do anything. And after that, next 3 years, CAGR is 82%. We all know the HUL example. 11 साल तक कुछ नहीं किया, value investor को खूब सताया, but when it broke out, 22% CAGR over the next 3 years. Same with the Bought India, 11 साल की consolidation के बाद 24% CAGR 3 साल में. 3 साल का. After Bata India, 11 साल तक कुछ नहीं किया, then it generated 40% CAGR. Same with Kajaria. The idea is to join the party once they have shown their true colors and they're ready to move. Not waste your money's opportunity cost by investing and getting stuck for years and years while the stock doesn't do anything. Now you can improve systematic investing. जो हमने CleanOw का example देखा, crazy drawdown था. How you can better it? These are the 4 things that I basically deploy. Linear regression filter. Don't go on the word. इतना मुश्किल नहीं है. Simple सा filter है, which is what we are saying कि हमें sudden pop stocks नहीं चाहिए. We want those momentum stocks जिनका momentum consistently ऊपर जा रहा है. Right? You basically divide whatever they have achieved by number of days. ताकि हमें एक वो फिगर मिले जिससे हमें पता लगे कि ये हर रोज कितना बढ़ रहा था एवरेज. राइट? वी डोंट वांट द वंस जो अर्निंग से प्राइस ऊपर आया फिर अचानक से नीचे आया, बिकॉज दैट विल ओनली एंड वी विल एंड अप बाइंग द पंप एंड डंप स्टोरीज. वी वांट consistent movers. So linear regression filter helps you in selecting that. Second is a broader market filter. You basically put a filter saying कि कितने स्टॉक्स 52 वीक हाई मार रहे हैं, कितने 52 वीक लो मार रहे हैं. I'm just giving you a broader example. Of course, you can fine tune it even further. But even this simple filter, 52 वीक हाई लो, आपको बता देगा कि मार्केट का सेंटिमेंट क्या है और उस सेंटिमेंट के बेसिस पे मुझे कितनी पोजीशन साइजिंग करनी चाहिए. Third is dynamic trailing stocks. We didn't use anything. Your journey can start from trailing stop losses like moving averages. It can be an ATR base, volatility base, super trends, and then dynamic trailing stops, which basically factor in the last swing lows as well. Then the fourth point is sitting on cash in bear markets. Now, the fourth filter you can add is where a set of, let's say, 3-4 things price wise, where I think that the market's in the bear grip. I will not make any new investments once the market is in the bear grip. You do these 4 things, you can improve on your momentum systematic investment manifold. So when we ran this backtest in MWM, the momentum product that we run, this is our backtested results. Return of 41% CAGR with a max GD of 31%. Even the live performance is in sync and is doing phenomenally well. Now, DIY or do-it-yourself investors should go through all the resources I have shared, and it's not that difficult if you're passionate about it and if you put your heart and soul into it, and go through all the resources that I've told you. Sure, there is a learning curve, but you will get it. You will be able to deploy a pretty robust strategy. And for all of you who have the opportunity cost and are working professionals and don't have time for all this, you can always, of course, buy our small case offering, right? Now, few important points, guys. And this will probably get a little philosophical here, but let it be because it's very important. First of all, don't pay too much heed to behavior science, because behavior science is not science at all. See, these guys keep telling you, Richard Thaler actually says in his book that there is a concept called hot hand fallacy. He says that because somebody has played well so far, does not mean he will continue to do that, and people think people will bet unnecessarily on a winner. Now, in my experience, and any sportsman can also vouch for that, nothing can be farther from the truth. Richard Thaler is point blank wrong. Hot hand is not a fallacy, it's a matter of fact. Adam Gilchrist at 0 is a different player compared to Adam Gilchrist at 40. The momentum that he gets in his batting, once he's batting on 40, makes him invincible and a crazy player. Same holds true for Rahul Dravid as well. If you don't get him out within the first 15-20 minutes, you can spend the entire day on a hot field and you'll not be able to get him out. That's the power of the flow. So hot hand is not a fallacy, hot hand is a fact. You actually get hot-handed, you get into the zone, in the flow, once things start going in your way. And so therefore, it's totally applicable in trend following world as well. What goes up keeps going up. That's how momentum works. Second important behavior science point that people keep talking about is the risk aversion bit. They say human beings are scared of losses much more than they love profits, which is true. There's no doubt about it. ये bias definitely है, हर किसी में होता है, और इसकी वजह से हम काफी गलतियां भी करते हैं. But remember, every time there is a bias, there's the reason why that bias exists. It's trying to tell you something. A lot of times, when you go through pain, that pain is trying to tell you something. And maybe it's trying to tell you that maybe you're over leveraged, or maybe your stops are too deep, because that loss is trying to tell you to change your strategy. Ed Secord actually said it beautifully. If you're not able to sleep at night, then of course your position sizing is all wrong. Just sell down to your sleeping limit, right? So you've got to respect the pain. Just don't ignore कि risk aversion का bias है इसलिए pain झेलने में ही अच्छा है. नहीं, pain is trying to tell you something. And this is another important point. Ed Secord, I'm a big fan of this guy. He says having a quote machine is like having a slot machine at your desk. You end up feeding it all day long. I get my price data after the close each day. And I'm giving you a personal example. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं अज्ञान दे रहा हूँ और I have achieved everything in life. I have an options book and I do really well in my book when I place my trades, or better still ask my dealer to place the trades and don't look at the trade at all. Because जब मैं trade देखता हूँ, I will do something. I end up doing something and square off it for no apparent reason. If you keep a ticker tape, you will feed it. And this is applicable for any time frame, by the way, not necessarily daily time frame or weekly time frame. Even if you're an intraday trader, you're much better off not to look at the charts once your entry and exits are already being put in. With that, it's a wrap. Thank you for giving me time, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Manish. It was a great presentation. It was a mix of many things actually. You also talked a lot about philosophical side, behavior, and discipline, and of course strategies. So I've noted down some questions. If you don't mind, we can discuss that.
Definitely.
So if you can go to your slide of strategy. Okay, before that, एक interesting चीज है which you talked about, in trend following. So we all know about trend following and momentum strategies, and we also know that you have to believe in. It goes through certain phases. हर strategy का एक दिन आता है, right? That's the thing that you said. So every strategy will go through a kind of drawdown phase on any time frame and instrument or any universe, right? So when it is going through that phase, like you gave example of your friend who is a value investor, and he had a good time. I think Javi, last time you talked about. So he had a good time, and now maybe momentum investors are maybe doing well. So in a momentum strategy or any strategy for that matter is going through a drawdown. how do you think one can handle, because abhi bolna it is kind of easy that okay it did not perform for let's say couple of years, but practically going through that period, such a long period, but typically there are two types of drawdown as well, I believe. एक होता है price wise drawdown, you see that kind of pain in your there's a drawdown in portfolio, but then another kind of drawdown is time drawdown. I mean, you have to sit, handle it for let's say 1 year, 2 year, and typically when it is a bad phase of let's say couple of years, so बहुत difficult होता है to handle it. So what are your thoughts? How one can really handle it, और उस time पे क्या mindset हो?
This is a very good question, Prashant, and I can say that you're a practitioner. That's the reason you've asked such a deep question, and you're absolutely right. Drawdown was of two types: time correction and the price correction. See, as a coder, you can still code how to take care of the price correction. Like for example, Corona crash हुआ, it did not harm us at all. बिकॉज वो क्रैश इतने सडनली हुआ कि हमारा सिस्टम कैश में चला गया, विच वाज फाइन. ये जो स्लो चर्न वाला नीचे धीरे धीरे जाता है ना, दैट इज पेनफुल एंड यू कैन नॉट कोड इट. यू विल हैव टू टेक इट ऑन योर चिन. अब वो कैसे करते इट्स अ $1 million क्वेश्चन. सो आई एग्री विद यू. सो आई गिव यू आवर एग्जांपल. 2018 to 19 was a bad year and I lost half my clients. Half our clients could not bear that drawdown. They just couldn't. But the point is ये drawdown bear करना जरूरी है अगर उसके बाद 2020 और 21 का मजा लेना है तो.
Yeah, I agree. उसको लेना जरूरी है, that I agree. Yeah. Okay. Then you talked about journal also, trading journal, and I totally agree. It is a very brilliant point, valid point that every trader, investor, whichever method he is following, it is very important that he is maintaining records. So I think you are maintaining your records, and you also shared that kind of what format in which we should store it. But if you go back and study your records, let's say your journal, anything that you can share with us, for example, how do you study records of your journal? For example, do you look at equity curve, or do you look at drawdown, or will it help you to tweak your strategy? कैसे उसको read करते हो? What do you take from it?
Very interesting. So प्रशांत, मैंने ना एक प्रेजेंटेशन बनाई थी इसी टॉपिक पर. तो वो 2 घंटे बढ़िया प्रेजेंटेशन है पोजीशन साइजिंग पर, और हाउ दिस डेटा actually gives you enough information to tell you कि तुम्हारा सिस्टम सही भी है या नहीं है. और यही सवाल मैंने रैल्फ वेंस से पूछा था अपने पॉडकास्ट में कि पोजीशन ये अपना सिस्टम चलना बंद हो गया है, ये कैसे पता लगेगा. तो रैल्फ भाई ने भी यही बात बोली, एंड you have to take his word for it because he's like the pioneer when it comes to risk management. And he said these data points will tell you everything. आपका एवरेज प्रॉफिट कितना आ रहा है, एवरेज लॉस कितना आ रहा है, ड्रॉडाउन कितना बन रहा है, स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन ऑफ वो ड्रॉडाउन कितना है. और अगर ये सारे पैरामीटर्स जो 8-10 पैरामीटर हैं ये इन सिंक हैं आपके बैक टेस्ट के हिसाब से, तो आपको कुछ नहीं करना, वो ड्रॉडाउन को झेलने की हिम्मत रखनी है बस. और अगर उसमें कुछ चेंजेस आ रहे हैं, जैसे अगर आपके बैक टेस्ट में था कि एवरेज लॉस 6,000 का होगा और यहाँ पे 15,000, 20,000 हजार के लॉस होने शुरू हो गए हैं, देन यू नीड टू रिविजिट दैट मे बी समथिंग इज हैपेंड. सो ये सारी चीजें आपको तभी पता लगेंगी जब आपके पास डेटा होगा, और इसीलिए हर चीज को ट्रैक करना इज ऑफ पैरामाउंट इम्पोर्टेंस. इवन ड्यूरेशन आपको बताती है कि आप एक ट्रेड में कितनी देर रुक रहे हो और कितनी देर रुकने से अल्फा पे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है.
Yeah, so a key point here is जब आप record maintain कर रहे हो and you have back tested your strategy, अगर if your records जो data है, if it is in sync with your back testing जो numbers है, then you are okay. If there's अगर यहाँ पे data में drawdown is more or there's a deviation, then you have to perhaps revisit your strategy. Okay, valid point. Of course, उसके साथ और भी discussion हो सकता है because many of times, when we practice, we always see a new drawdown coming in whenever we start a strategy. तो ये एक और discussion है, which is I think it all right for some other day. Third thing is, you said you should know your style. Whether you said you are a momentum investor. एक अपना अपना thought process, and there are so many types of trading the market, so many methods and all that. जैसे you should trade as per your style, you should trade as per your thought process and all that. Any thoughts? How do you know what is your style, what you are comfortable with? It's not, I know it's not very easy, but how would you like to answer it?
Yeah, Prashant, ये actually time के साथ ही आता है. So I'll give you my example only. मुझे दुनिया का नहीं पता. वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग से स्टार्ट किया था. दयानंद देशपांडे और मैं दोनों वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग कर रहे थे. स्पिन ऑफ और डिमर्जर को आप वैल्यू ही बोलोगे. While he was buying with a value mindset, कि अगर ये गिरेगा तो वो और खरीदेगा बिकॉज उसको उसके अंदर अंडरलाइन वैल्यू अलग दिख रही है. आई वॉज नॉट कंफर्टेबल डूइंग दैट. तो वो मेरे को उसी समय समझ आ रहा था कि मैं कुछ अलग हूं. मैंने तो खरीदा, हम दोनों सेम प्रोडक्ट, लेकिन मैंने तो उस पर भी अपना ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग ट्रेनिंग लगा रखा था. ये मेरे को सेम. लकीली एज लक वुड हैव इट, उस समय बुल रन चल रहा था, अपना ट्रेनिंग नहीं टूटा, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ स्टॉक्स में नहीं टूटा. सो ऑफ कोर्स दयानंद मेड लॉट मोर मनी देन आई डिड, क्योंकि उसका ट्रेनिंग का कोई चक्कर ही नहीं था. वो तो पूरा 5 बैनर खा के गया. For me, it was probably everything was lot lesser. अगर उसने 500x कमाया तो मैंने 300x कमाया. Plus I was in and out was as well. But point is, उसी समय मुझे समझ आने लग गई थी that I am not the kind of person who can buy more when my stock is going down. उसी समय समझ आ जाएगा. And similarly, Dayanand, my partner cannot be a momentum investor. वो इंडिया मार्ट को हाथ ही नहीं लगा सकता.
Right. So कभी ऐसा होता है, for example, you find some stock in momentum, जो जैसे you give example of high PE या high ROC and all that. So and your partner is not comfortable because he's looking at value. He might feel that ये expensive है. ये इस टाइप का चीज होता है. And yes, how do you handle that?
So ये चीज बीच में आई ही ना, there should be zero conflict of interest. इसीलिए हमने काम ही पूरा बांटा हुआ है. The value portfolio पे I have no discretion, और momentum portfolio पे he has no discretion. Momentum portfolio पे तो in fact even I have no discretion. Computer जो बोलता है वो करते हैं.
Nice. So your entire strategy is totally मतलब पूरा coded है, no discretion.
Yes, no discretion.
And do you think there can be a scope for discretion, let's say kind of 10% of discretion, if I would roughly say it? This is just for the discretion part. And why discretion? For example, if you can read the market phase, for example, if this is a strong bullish momentum, right now your momentum strategies will work. You might want to allocate more in those strategies. If you feel my volatility is more, you may want to go down slow on your momentum strategy. You think that kind of things can work, or have you experienced or worked?
This is a $1 million question, Prashant. My answer is simple. If you can code it and back test it, then you do that tweak and test for yourself that tweak's working or not. If your feel of the market is not codable, then again you are totally discretionary. क्योंकि फिर आप, because no two feels and hunches would be same. I'm facing the same problem right now as we speak. अदानी गैस भाग रहा है, मैं अगर discretionary trader in me says कि profit ले ले, right? But that will be totally discretionary then. Then you are basically disrespecting the system.
Correct. And your strategy will perhaps आपको exit देगा. It is possible. I mean, just कि यहाँ से you will have to give up some profits back. That is possible. And typically what happens is, I think based on the market phase we learn certain lessons. जैसे उस time पे wrong lesson could be I could have listened. I was feeling that ये बहुत हो गया and I could have taken profit. But
so the famous saying in momentum investing, Prashant, is simple that you are willing to let go of the last 30% gain of your stock, right? But the beauty of it is कि वो 30% को छोड़ने के payoff में आपको एक चांस मिल रहा है कि ये अभी भी यहाँ से 3 bagger और बन सकता है.
perfect. So that's तो एक कॉस्ट है जो आपको लेना है कि आप गिव बैक योर प्रॉफिट्स, बट लॉन्ग टर्म में दैट थिंग ओनली विल परहैप्स गिव यू मतलब बहुत बड़े बड़े विनर्स इज पॉसिबल फ्रॉम दैट थिंग ओनली.
एंड द फैक्ट इन नेचर ऑफ मोमेंटम इन्वेस्टिंग इज सच के आप विनर्स को नहीं छेड़ सकते क्योंकि वो हैंडफुल ऑफ विनर्स में ही पैसे कमा के देने हैं.
परफेक्ट. सो योर रफली जैसे वो this says that 20-30% trades actually makes money for you, बाकी तो सब
exactly. So we are currently at 41% win rate. अब इतने खराब win rate पे अगर मैं winners को भी छेड़ने लग गया तो सब गड़बड़ हो जाएगी.
And that's the key thing. Knowing this is really a key thing, and then that is why you have to follow those आपके rules and methods. Otherwise वो पूरा खराब हो जाएगा. Yeah. So okay. Can we go back to that slide जहाँ पे strategy you shared? What it is essentially saying is, I believe when your closing price is above 200-day moving average, 150 moving average.
So simple words में प्रशांत हर एक moving average एक दूसरे के ऊपर है, right? So 150, 200 से ऊपर, 100 से ऊपर, 150 वाली से ऊपर, बेसिकली सारी की सारी एक ही डायरेक्शन में जा रही है, राइट?
Your moving average is every 50 is above 100, 100 is above 150 and all. So इस टाइप का when there is a picture, then you buy that particular stock.
ये पहला फिल्टर है. फिर दूसरा फिल्टर है प्राइस रेंज से ऊपर होना चाहिए, ऑफ कोर्स. फिर तीसरा फिल्टर है कि अपने 52 वीक हाई के आसपास होना चाहिए. और इसके बाद भी ये 4 फिल्टर बनने के बाद भी ये आपको बेसिकली एक बास्केट ऑफ स्टॉक्स बता रहा है, ये सारे खरीदने नहीं है. इसके बाद आप अपना वो लगा रहे हो कि कहां पर एंट्री, बहुत टाइट एंट्री मारोगे जहां से आपको, इसको बोलते हैं चीट एंट्री पॉइंट, जहां पे आपको बहुत टाइट स्टॉप मिलेगा, वहां से जो रिवर्सल आप मार रहे हो उसके स्विंग लो पे स्टॉप लगा के यू राइट इट. दिस इज फॉर डिस्ट्रिक्ट ट्रेडर्स ऑफ कोर्स.
Right. So the strategy that you follow for your मतलब disciplined पूरा non-discretionary momentum strategy, वहाँ पे largely what principles you follow, मतलब आप execute क्या करते हो?
I think I shared that on the slide itself. तो हमारे 20 stocks हैं. ये 20 stocks momentum पे pick हो रहे हैं. Sharp ratio उसमें उनकी calculate हो रही है. उनका डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम हाईएस्ट कैलकुलेट हो रहा है और उनका लीनियर रिग्रेशन काउंट हो रहा है. ये
कैन वी गो टू दैट स्लाइड?
श्योर. राइट.
या सो या लीनियर रिग्रेशन यू आर लुकिंग एट, और ठीक है, मतलब एक्चुअली बेसिकली योर मोमेंटम इज स्ट्रांग. एक ब्रॉड मार्केट फिल्टर, आई जस्ट, अगर मैं आपको इसी तरह से पूछूं, फॉर एग्जांपल जो नंबर ऑफ स्टॉक्स है जो 52 वीक हाई क्रॉस कर रहे हैं, दे आर मोर देन द 52 वीक लो, देन यू विल से दैट सेंटिमेंट्स आर गुड एंड मोमेंटम इज स्ट्रांग.
बिल्कुल. सो इट विल बी ए क्लियर कट इंडिकेटर. अगर आप इसको बैक टेस्ट करके देखोगे आपको पता लगेगा कि मार्केट टैंक होने से पहले ये आपको ब्रॉडर मार्केट इंडिकेटर पहले ही बता देता है कि 52 वीक हाई लगने बंद हो चुके हैं. हफ्ता डेढ़ हफ्ता पहले ही बंद होना शुरू हो जाती है, राइट?
Okay, so basically you are also looking at momentum. Second is breadth and sentiment, largely, you know, as a principle. And third is dynamic trailing stocks. So basically, will you say that swing low and swing highs are good trailing stocks?
Very good trailing stocks, yes.
Nice. And just last, like sitting your cash on bear market. So अगर आपको roughly define करना what is bear market, how will you define?
Yeah. एकदम ब्रॉडली करना है तो 200 डे मूविंग एवरेज लगा के चल लो. इवन दैट विल बी फाइन. ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन बेटर थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल दिमाग लगाओगे तो कर सकते हो बेटर. बट इवन मैं कह रहा हूँ कि खाली 200 डे मूविंग एवरेज वाला भी रूल लगा दो तो आपका मोमेंटम सिस्टम काफी रोबस्ट हो जाएगा.
So एक nutshell मुझे इस तरह से इसका principle लेना है. Of course, there are many ways to define these things, but if your momentum is strong, your sentiment indicators are showing signs of strength, so you allocate more, maybe you invest more, or आपका maybe swing high, swing low can be good stops and you can follow. And when there is a bear market, you sit on the cash.
गुड पॉइंट प्रशांत. सो पोजीशन साइजिंग की जहां तक बात है वो डिसीजन मैं इससे नहीं ले रहा. इस पे लेट्स से 20 स्टॉक है, 5% 20 तो घोड़ों पे जाएगा. वी अलाउ दैट हॉर्स टू गो एज बिग एज इट वांट्स टू. वो उसके बाद मेरे कॉर्पस का 20% भी बन जाए, आई डोंट केयर, लेकिन स्टार्ट वो 5% से ही करेगा.
Okay.
The allocation bit that you're talking about is fascinating, और ये मैं अपने पोर्टफोलियो पे करता हूँ, NWM मॉडल पे नहीं करता. और वो ये है कि मैंने अपने मॉडल, अपने पोर्टफोलियो की इक्विटी कर्व पे भी मूविंग एवरेज लगाई हुई है. तो what that means is कि अगर मेरा इक्विटी कर्व मूविंग एवरेज के नीचे से ऊपर जा रहा है, then I'll be fully deployed. तो ऊपर से नीचे आ रहा है तो मैं ट्रेड में तो तब भी रहूंगा, लेकिन my allocation would be reduced to half.
Right. So people who don't know much about इसको अगर मैं simplify करूँ तो am I right if I say कि अगर मेरा जो drawdown है, अगर उसका total portfolio में जो drawdown की अगर थोड़ी शुरुआत होती है, my allocation, मेरा position sizing थोड़ा slow हो जाएगा, and when I'm again my positions are coming in favor, तो मेरा position sizing increase हो जाएगा, है ना?
Absolutely, but I don't, Prashant, I have to add a disclaimer here, and I tell this to my clients as well. मैं आपको बता तो देता हूँ कि मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, but this comes with a caveat, because once you do this, A, your returns will be higher than the model. B, your drawdowns can also be higher, because काफी chop भी हो सकता है उस एरिया में.
Correct, I know, yeah. तो जब ये बात निकली है तो मनीष, if you do, of course you may or may not follow position sizing. if अगर मैं roughly इस तरह से करूँ, because you have also tested all this and practice किया है, okay, what do you think about pyramiding?
This is something I am coding these days, Prashant. Fascinating question that you're asking. Early results show promise, but abhi that code is not worth implementing, so it's still work in progress. But pyramiding is a wonderful thing because intuitively it makes sense. Why just imagine 41% तो हमारा win rate है, और उसमें भी जो टॉप के 3-4 चीते हैं, they are carrying majority of the weight. और अगर हम उनके ऊपर पिरामिडिंग करें, then it can be a game changer.
Right. Nice. So, and when we want to add to the position, अगर हम लोग position sizing का बात करें, तो of course there are many types of doing that. But अगर मैं roughly उसको इस तरह से पूछूं कि when you pyramid, या आपका equity curve में, for example, you want to increase your position sizing in a particular strategy, तो क्या होता है कि once if your आपका अगर equity curve favorable है, and once it is in a good profit and you are seeing the good phase of it, तब increase करना position size, that is one option. And second is when your strategy is going through a drawdown phase, when there is आपका whipsaw ज़्यादा आ रहा है in that strategy, and that time you should add. अगर मैं इस टाइप से आपको पूछूं तो what do you think, where you will be more comfortable?
So back test wise both work. अगर आप अपने ड्रॉडाउन पे लेट्स से MWM का, मैं बाकी का नहीं कह सकता, MWM अगर अराउंड 20% ड्रॉडाउन पे रहता है, that is a great time to buy. Historically as well, live में भी as well. But technically that is against the ethos of momentum, isn't it? आप basically momentum में value investing कर रहे हो. Buying that, right?
Right.
So another thing that now that we are on this topic, Prashant, another thing I want to add is that pyramiding is a two-edged sword. Remember, क्योंकि you will become very top heavy.
Yeah.
So
correct.
So already as we speak, हमारे top 4 stocks 20 में से basically are amounting to a pretty heavy portion of the entire portfolio. तो मोमेंटम इन्वेस्टिंग अपने आप में ही टॉप हैवी है. टॉप के
Yeah.
4 बेसिकली 40% बन जाते हैं, राइट?
Yeah,
एंड सो
right.
बड़ी स्केल. या तो टॉप हैवी बहुत खतरनाक चीज है, क्योंकि वो जब गिरेगा तो वो पूरा ड्रॉप ले लेगा. तो
नहीं, well said, Manish. Very valid point. This is correct actually. कभी कभी हम बोलते हैं ना, I mean, booking जैसे sitting in the profit is very difficult actually. वो चार्ट पे देखना is another thing. But to ride that trend is very strong, and उसमें भी when you are top heavy, मतलब आपने already you're heading to the position or top heavy battle, it's very tough. I mean, it's not easy. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, and I think most of the points we have covered. एक interesting thing था आपके slide में, you showed about that, that data where a stock moves from the multi-year consolidation phase.
ये slide?
Yeah, ये slide.
Yeah, these are the stocks that of course came in the run. But I'm just trying to do this simple bringing home the point that phase 2 के stocks उठाने का है. Because सारा compounding stocks का तभी होता है जब वो अपने multi-year range से बाहर निकल गया है.
So
and it's not that difficult to code, by the way. Even on Excel or I use any broker, आप basically 2 line of code में ये decide बता सकते हो उसको कि
right. All right. So I think most of the things we have discussed, and you most of the things you all covered in your presentation also. It was wonderful talking to you, Manish. We really enjoyed, and I'm sure we will have many things to learn from it. And thank you very much for sharing your strategy experience with us. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Prashant, for giving me this opportunity. It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Manish.